Hello, Danny. Thank you for joining us today to talk about 6G. So who is Danny and what is your relationship with 6G?
So, hi Jesus, I'm the director of the Mobile Wireless Internet Group at I2CAT. We have been doing research in 5G for the last 10 years in European projects, and we're starting now to research on the design of the future 6G network.
So you are the right person to answer this question. Why do we need a new generation of mobile communication networks? Why 6G?
This is a very good question, Jesus, and I think we definitely do. I think as the mobile network industry, we have to acknowledge that 5G today is not yet fulfilling the expectations that set out to do back in 2015 when we were designing 5G. I think we all remember the triangle with the three services, the eMBB, ultra reliable low latency, and the massive MTC. And what we see with the initial 5G deployments today is essentially the eMBB service that was an evolution of the broadband internet service that we already had with 4G. But the other two services, the other services that were addressed to the vertical domains, they are not yet there. There's a lot of interest in the industry. There are lots of POCs, but the real deployments are not taking off yet. So the reasons why are several and are complex. There are technical reasons, there are business reasons. It's a radical shift for MNOs to go from a best effort business to consumer service that is mobile internet to a B2B with stringent SLAs that is a B2B service that we need to provide the vertical. So this continuing on the vertical evolution that we started with 5G is one of the reasons we need 6G. And the other reason is something that we had today on the table that is very important, and that it wasn't there 10 years ago when we were thinking about 5G, and this is sustainability. Sustainability is a major topic today, and 6G networks can have a great impact on this, and we need to consider this in the design of the next generation.
That's very interesting. Indeed, sustainability is fundamental. So what's 6G going to be a sustainable technology compared to 5G?
So this is also something that is being defined right now. I think there are several sustainable development goals that were defined by United Nations, and we are discussing right now how 6G can best contribute to this. But I think there are two that are definitely in scope, and they are first the reduction of carbon footprint, and the other one is digital divide. So let me elaborate a little bit on the reduction of carbon footprint. The first step is that mobile network industry needs to look inward and needs to see, are we doing the best we can to reduce our own energy footprint? And the answer is no. There are lots of techniques that can be used to reduce the energy that the networks are consuming. And this is, let's say, the first battle that we need to fight. There is a derivative of this, and it's how the mobile networks can enforce other sectors, mobility, for example. We all are doing Zoom calls these days and don't commute that much. That's a secondary, that's a derivative way that mobile networks can enforce the reduction of carbon footprint. So that's one SDG. The other one is digital divide. So there's still lots of people globally that are unconnected, or they don't have enough high quality broadband to access digital services. And 6G is really taking a new disruptive approach to bridge this gap using satellite-based access. This is something that was even unthinkable on the time that when we started designing 5G, because the space economics have changed a lot in the last years, and now it's possible to deploy networks based on spaceborne infrastructure that really have global coverage.
Wow, that's super interesting. It sounds like a very ambitious goal. So in this process of building 6G, what can we learn from 5G?
That's again a very good question, and this is totally my personal opinion. Okay, I think there is no, let's say, agreement in the industry here. But personally, one thing that I think was maybe not ideal in the case of 5G was the marketing message. So marketing is a really super powerful tool and has to be used wisely. I think in 5G we set out these very high expectations in terms of gigabit per second data rates, 1 millisecond or below 1 millisecond latencies, that I think now this has backslashed a little bit. So we have this first generation of 5G networks that are much better than what 4G was, but still people are saying, hey, but this is not what you promised, right? So I think we have to set the right marketing message for the right use cases, because, for example, high peak data rates make a lot of sense, but maybe not for large outdoor coverage. Maybe we don't need millimeter wave outdoors covering everywhere. Maybe we need to go to private networks, to indoor use cases. And the same thing with the terahertz discussion that is happening now in 6G. So I think marketing guys have a key role here in defining the right message of what 6G should be. And the second one, and this is again my personal opinion, is that we need to look at, I think 5G at the beginning was seen as a system that would replace all other technologies. And I think 6G should be seen as a system that incorporates other technologies. And what I'm thinking on here especially is on Wi-Fi. IEEE 802.11 has also evolved a lot in the past years alongside 5G and has huge bandwidths available in the 5 gigahertz and in the 6 gigahertz bands. It doesn't make sense to reinvent that. 6G should instead incorporate that as part of their system design.
That's super interesting. So if we manage to build this sustainable and this technology that is going to integrate other technologies, and we can really deliver what we promise, what new services are we going to see? Do you think 6G is going to enable disruptive use cases and services?
So I think that's again, and I'm sorry because I'm always saying this is the ongoing discussion, but like we had the triangle figure in 5G with the 3 services, such a figure, the pentagon or hexagon, we don't know. For 6G is not yet there. What we know for sure is the 3 services will be expanded, will be enhanced. And then there is another service that is coming up, and I think there's already quite amount of consensus that this is going to be a new network capability. This is sensing. And let me try to explain what I mean by sensing. The idea is that we can use mobile network infrastructure that is distributed, that is covering whole countries today, as a sensing infrastructure. Imagine, for example, today we have road authorities. They need to know, how many cars are coming into a highway, how many cars are leaving a highway. And to do that, they deploy custom sensors for that. In the entrance and in the exit of the highway, you have cameras or you have sensors buried under concrete to count that. Imagine that instead of doing this with these special sensors, mobile networks that are already covering these highways could count the number of vehicles coming in and out. So this would be good for mobile network operators. Suddenly, they can offer a new service. They have this data that they have gathered. They can sell it to the road authorities. This is good for road authorities because they don't need to deploy and maintain this special purpose infrastructure. And this is good for the environment because we are consolidating infrastructure and therefore reducing CO2 footprint. So there is a lot of hope, a lot of promise in the sensing as a service in 6G.
And this can also be applied to other verticals, right? It's not only for mobility, but also to other vertical sectors, the industry.
Exactly.
And in this change of paradigm that you're describing, do you see the ecosystem of the telco sector changing? Do you think that we're still going to see the same players playing the game?
So sensing, for example, could change the ecosystem because the entities that would be, consuming the sensing services would be new entities. And in addition to this, I think we are anticipating 2 places in 6G, or 2 areas where the ecosystem can change. One is the notion of network as a service or network APIs. What is the idea of this? The idea is that today the application developers, they are not interacting with the network. So if I build the Zoom application, I deploy the Zoom application in a public cloud like Amazon, and this application is not interacting at all with the network. It's simply transmitting bits, and the network is a bit pipe. But if we think on the evolution of these services, let's go with XR services. All these services will be much more demanding, and there will be the need that this service requires a special treatment from the network, for example. I need the quality is bad, give me a quality boost, for example. So this relation between the service developer and the MNO is what network as a service enables. It's something that is not there yet. It's beginning with 5G, and we think that with 6G, this will even explode even more. And the other area where we see potential changes in the ecosystem is NTN. So for NTN to happen,
NTN is non-terrestrial networks, right?
Yes. So it's the satellites. That's what I mean with bridging the digital divide by deploying infrastructure in space. So for this to happen, we don't expect like all terrestrial operators will now start launching satellites. So a more reasonable approach is that we will have specialized satellite operators. We have satellite operators today, so the ones or even new ones, they will start incorporating new 6G technology and selling new services to the terrestrial network operator. So at the end, I will continue to be a customer of my terrestrial network operator, but my mobile phone will have the capability of roaming into the satellite network and moving between terrestrial and satellite without me even realizing. So this is new services between new agents, new opportunities for startups, for disrupting the ecosystem.
From the user perspective, this seems very interesting. Indeed, I have liked very much this idea of the give me a boost in quality, when things don't go properly. This seems that we are going to a very intelligent network. So we are today listening a lot about artificial intelligence. So is there any connection between artificial intelligence and 6G networks?
There is, definitely there is. I think, again, AI, the way we look at it from the mobile network perspective, AI is a new tool, okay? It's a tool that we did not have 10 years ago, or it was there but not as developed as it is today. And it's a tool that fits very well mobile networks because AI needs data and mobile networks generate lots of data. And now the discussion is how do we incorporate this new tool into the mobile networks? And we are finding places across the whole mobile network stack. So we can go down to the physical layer. In the physical layer, for example, we have modules that do estimation of a channel between a transmitter and a receiver. So these modules today are based on algorithms that are well known. So we will replace these algorithms by machine learning modules, and this will give us a capacity boost. Or we have algorithms that decide how a device needs to hand over from one cell to the other cell. This is based on some thresholds today. These thresholds will be set by machine learning algorithms tomorrow. So this is one dimension in increasing the performance of techniques that are already there in the networks. The other dimension is simplifying the operations. So today a mobile network, think 50,000 base stations deployed over a country. Each base station generates gigabytes of data, of counters, of KPIs. To make sense of all this, to understand that there is a problem here, that the tilt is not correct, that the power is too much or too less, it requires lots of experts from vendors and from operators. So there is a lot of hope in AI being able to automate this and to offer suggestions. At the end, we will always need the human operator saying, yes, I want to do this change or not. But the AI, crawling the data and really giving you a suggestion, this is the problem, why don't you do this or that?
What you're describing sounds amazing, and it indeed sounds very futuristic. So how far is this future? When are we going to see and to enjoy this functionality, this artificial intelligence, these new generation networks? So as always, the changes are progressive. They are not flipping a switch. The target is to have the first generation of 6G systems deployed in 2030. So what this means is that in 2030, we would have a 6G in a state of deployment similar to the 5G that we have today. Yeah.
Okay? So what are the timelines for this to happen? Right now, let's say we started in 2020, 2021 until 2025, we are in the phase of defining what the technology should be, coming up with the vision of the triangle, the next triangle. Between 2025 and 2030, that's when the standardization bodies, 3GPP especially, but also other bodies, will start making this vision, let's say, a reality with real protocols, real algorithms being standardized. And then in 2030, we'll start with the initial deployments, and probably it will take 10 years until 6G fully replaces 5G.
Wow, many things can happen until then.
Indeed.
So, Dani, thank you very much for all your wisdom and for sharing your vision with us. Let me finish with one question. So if I have to tell my 5-year-old kid about what futuristic thing that I cannot even imagine today will happen in 2040 thanks to 6G, what would be?
Okay, 2040 is very far, but let's say, for me, I can give you my hope of what 6G should enable. I think, I believe in this concept of augmented reality as, the new interface, the new types of services. I think the device that Apple released is amazing, this Vision Pro, but it's just too bulky. I cannot imagine people wearing this for, more than 4 hours a day. So I think the challenge is that we need a new type of device for these networks, and we have to enable this type of experiences in glasses like the ones you are wearing today. And for this to happen, a lot of the processing that today goes into the Vision Pro needs to be offloaded to the network side. And we need a new network that can guarantee all the quality that this offloading requires. So I think if we make that happen in 6G, the 6G will be a successful generation. That's my opinion.
I'm looking forward to having these futuristic glasses. So Danny, thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing your vision.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.